a big bell. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. I always hate to start because everybody's having such a good time talking that I hate to interrupt. But can you hear me back there? Is the mic on? The microphone is scratchy. I can hear it up here. Are you sure you can't hear it back up here?
Oh no, there's a real bad feedback. You got a ground loop hum. There's a real bad hum.
Okay. Eric. in the box up here, okay, in the office in the corner in the black box, could you turn it down a little bit and maybe the hum will go away? We'll wait for the hum to go away. So it should be the master volume maybe? Okay. The hum is better? A little bit?
No.
A little more, Eric.
You need one of those adapters.
Okay, is that okay? Okay, we'll have to get one for next time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they can hear you now.
Can you hear me? I need to know if you can hear me. Jay would like to know if you can hear us. Okay, somebody put your hand up if you can hear me.
I can.
Okay. You sure? Okay. We have a loop or something that we'll have to get fixed. It doesn't sound too good. Okay, anyway, once again, welcome to Brown Bag Lunch. We have no cards going around today, and I have just a few announcements that I would like to give you. First of all, 4th of July, as you know, is coming up. I hope everybody has a wonderful time on the 250th birthday of our country. Most of our celebrating is going to be with Bellevue as a county, and they have a wonderful parade, and so we hope to see you there. So then on July 9th, right here, will be our annual meeting. Hope everybody will come to that. Our speaker for the annual meeting will be Michelle Turner. She does such a wonderful job, as you know, and she's going to be talking about a lady by the name of Aletha Sherman. And she came here with a pioneering family settled in Clayton County. She was an amazing woman, way ahead of her time, and she became one of the world's best ornithologists. She loved birds. She did a lot of great research. In July, on the 17th and 18th, we're having a mini garage sale over at the Papke building at the Clinton Engine site. It'll be all day Friday and most of Saturday, and we hope that you'll bring us your treasures. And so I think that's enough announcements for today. So I would like to introduce you to Mr. Jay Kahn. He is a favorite of everybody, especially my grandchildren who all been in his bands. But he was the middle school band director for many, many years.
43.
43 years. Pretty awesome.
46 in all.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you see him with the Timber City Band, and he'll tell you a little about that in a minute. And so anyway, he's also done an amazing amount of research on a person who's very important to us, which he's always going to talk about, John Galuska. And Galuska.
Galuska.
All right. And so I know we're going to have a really exciting program. I'm glad you're all here. I want to thank everybody who's helped get everything together. It's hard to move from one building to another, and so thank you for being so adaptable, because we'll be meeting here for a while. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Kahn.
Okay.
Let's see. Don't you just hate it when you attend a presentation and the clinician starts to read every slide to you like you're a child? I mean, it isn't like you can't read for yourself or people. Never mind. Anyway, get out of here. This is where it all started. The Holden Special. way, is the Timber City Band. If you want to hear them, you won't be able to do it tomorrow because the concert was canceled. But we are going to play at the Tabor Winery in Baldwin this Sunday. More about that later. So a very dear friend of mine, a band director in Indiana, had a large library, and he would give out music, or rather copies of music, to his friends. This arrived in my mailbox some 20 years ago. And I called him up and I said, "Hey, I got the music you sent me." "Oh, good. Why'd you send it?" "Did you look at it?" "Yeah, I looked at it." "No, you didn't. Take a good look at it." All right. Look up the top. Holton Special. Dedicated to Frank Holton. I knew he was a trombone player with Sousa. Went on to start his own instrument company. J.F. Galuska or Galuska or I don't know. Nobody used their first name in those days. Everybody had the first two initials. Must have been a thing. Looks like a ragtime tune. Holy moly! Copyright 1913 by J.F. Galuska, Maquoketa, Iowa. He says, "What do you know about this guy?" "I don't know anything about him, never heard of him." "Why don't you find out something about it?" "Oh, okay." And not more than 3 months after that, Andy Glover is the president of the Barnhouse Company here in Iowa. And they've published probably more band music than anybody else. He calls me up. "What do you know about this guy, Galuska or Galushka or whatever?" Funny you should mention that. I just found out about him 3 months ago. "Well, we're publishing biographies of everybody who's ever published with the Barnhouse Company. See what you can find out about it." So, the rest, as they say, is history. So thank goodness I was able to locate his family through Ancestry.com. And I was able to locate his granddaughter, and I was able to piece together everything else through Ancestry.com, and with it, newspapers.com. So the story starts here. And I am going to read a little bit of this because you guys make me nervous and I forget stuff. It was October 24th, 1908, when a group out of Chicago calling itself the Royal Hungarian Orchestra made a stop on its tour that was to have a profound effect on music in the state of Iowa. It was an 11-member orchestra. As you look at it, you're probably thinking, doesn't look much like an orchestra to me. But hey, these little groups on the vaudeville or Chautauqua circuit, whatever you put together, okay, it's an orchestra. It wasn't particularly royal, and it wasn't particularly Hungarian, but there were some Hungarians in it, and they stopped in Lost Nation. Now, we have some disagreement here. Here is an article from the Des Moines Register of 1970. If that's my wife, I'm not here. Well, anyway, if you don't mind, I am going to read to you a little bit. Miss White, Mr. Galuska, by the way, she told me, I spoke to her on the phone, she said that the name probably in Hungarian would have been Galuska, because they emphasize everything on the first syllable, but it's since been Americanized to Galuska. Anyway, she said that, she sent me this article from the Des Moines Register of 1970. And it says here that the Royal Hungarian Orchestra got off the train by mistake in Lost Nation. Well, that's certainly understandable. I mean, here's Lost Nation, and they said that they were supposed to be in Cedar Rapids. Well, there's Cedar Rapids. Lost Nation, Cedar Rapids. Lost Nation, Cedar Rapids, certainly understandable to make that kind of mistake. Well, whoever they were talking to, I think it was a Mr. Rutenbeck, who was a child at the time, 1908 to 1970. But I found online, God bless the internet, here is a copy of the Lost Nation Chronicle, October 23rd, 1908, and I happen to know for a fact this was a weekly publication. So in order to get anything in on Friday, October 23rd, it would have had to gone in a week earlier. So I don't think it was a mistake. And down here, the Royal Hungarian Orchestra, one of the highest priced musical organizations traveling, composed entirely of artists, what, as opposed to acrobats? Have been secured by special effort for a concert Saturday evening, October 24th. This will be one of the best musical treats ever given here, and you should arrange to hear them. Don't fail to hear the Royal Hungarian Orchestra. So, obviously, it was not a mistake. Well, going back, I also have here now, she was nice enough to send me a photocopy of the article, and that's a little easier for me to read, so I'm going to continue. If you don't mind, I'm going to read a little bit of this newspaper article. The group was supposed to play a concert at some city west of Lost Nation. Cedar Rapids or Des Moines recalls Harry Rutenbeck, 77. He is obviously wrong. Anyway, one thing that he mentions that has been substantiated by other people I've talked to, they employed our local telephone operator, Louise Ahrens, kind of impressive he remembered that, to put out a general ring all over county lines to let the people know. You guys, are anybody old enough to remember when you could do something like that? Get on a party line and just call everybody in the county? And the weather was nice, the old hall was packed. And when the curtain rose, there sat 11 men, 10 of them with violins, one with a harp. I never heard finer music in all my life, as each one was a master. Now, imagine again, this guy was a kid, a little kid at the time, so it must have made a big impression. Anyway, they made a big effort in those days. They got on the phones, they called everybody, said, you get your butt down there, you got to hear this because we need to support these guys. They were treated so royally, so well, that when the next train left town, one of the members wasn't on it. He decided to stay behind. He said, Iowa's the place for me. It was this guy. His name was John Francis Galuska. I was lucky enough to be in Budapest a couple years ago, and I asked the tour guide what his name might have been in the old country. She said, well, perhaps Jan Ferenc Galuska, but here in the United States, John Francis Galuska, and his name in the upper right-hand corner was always J.F. Galuska. And as you can see, he's a pretty good-looking guy. All right, so that was 1908. 1909, oh, and by the way, he came over with his mother when he was 5. He was born in 1881, came over in 1887. Father and brother never came over. How many of you have heard of something like that where the wife comes over, the husband never does? Kind of tells you something about the family situation. So she comes over with her 5-year-old son, dies 3 years later. As a result, we don't know anything about his childhood or about what his childhood musical influences may have been. And believe me, I have looked. His granddaughter doesn't know. The next we hear of Mr. Galuska is that he graduates with honors from the Leffingwell School of Music in Chicago, Illinois. So I think we can safely assume that a good portion of his youth must have been spent in Chicago. I have here, as a matter of fact, this is a very interesting ad. He sets himself up as a private teacher in 1909. Teacher of violin, viola, all brass instruments, including clarionet. It also has down here a personal, what's the word I'm looking for when somebody vouches for you? It's like a recommendation, thank you. In the pursuit of his musical education, Mr. Galuska has demonstrated that what he undertakes will be thoroughly and conscientiously carried out, and pupils entrusted to his care will be directed in a thorough and painstaking manner. We predict for him a very successful career, both as a soloist and a teacher, W.W. Leffingwell. And we have right here on the left, and I'll pass this around, we have here a medal of commendation from Mr. Leffingwell himself that his granddaughter sent to me. Next to it is a medal presented to him by the Maquoketa Concert Band. We'll get to that a little later. But I think that's pretty cool that these, you take a look, and the medals, having been sent in a plastic bag, still in pretty good shape. So pass this around. Don't get any brownies on them. So he sets himself up, and very quickly he winds up with more students than he can handle. Now, at that time, the competition, if you want to call it that, was the Christensens in Lost Nation. And the Christensens had a family band. Friendly looking bunch, aren't they? But actually, I understand they were very good, and they welcomed, I was kidding about the competition thing. Actually, they welcomed Mr. Galuska to town, and as soon as one of Mr. Galuska's students was good enough, then he joined up with the Christensens, which were in effect the Lost Nation town band. Eventually, the band became pretty large. Mr. Galuska himself started playing cornet in the band, and they joined forces with the Maquoketa Concert Band, and eventually, now this is not the group because this is only 1910, which is a little bit too soon for you to see Mr. Galuska or any of his students. But they joined up with this group, the Maquoketa Concert Band, to become an even larger concert band here in Maquoketa. Now here's a group. This does have Mr. Galuska in it. All the names are underneath here. It says Galuska here, but Galuska played cornet, not drums. So I don't think this is labeled correctly. As a matter of fact, I think, Bonnie, where'd you go? I think I got this from you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think, judging from the picture, I'm guessing this is Mr. Galuska here. This looks the most like that picture that I showed you a minute ago. And as you can see, this is right in the center of town, and no cars to hit them yet. Now, Mr. Galuska very soon, not only did he have a whole bunch of students, more than he could handle, but he did his best, and they joined up with the Maquoketa Band. You had this big organization. He really became Mr. Music in Jackson County. He was living in Lost Nation. He moved to Maquoketa in 1910. He was a boarder here in town. And it says here, here's state news, Professor J.F. Galuska, there's always J.F., Professor J.F. Galuska has purchased a half interest in the Pastime Theater. So he's really, really become involved in the community. I can't help but notice that in every single newspaper report that I came across of a performance of one of his bands or one of his orchestras, or when the orchestra played for the Pit in the Pastime Theater, or if it played in Delmore or DeWitt, they always talked about how snappy the performances were. They like that high energy, and so they always said, snappy performances, snappy performances. Well, Mr. Galuska teams up with a musically talented gal from Delmer. Her name's Laura Seidel. And here he's pictured with 2 children, finally wound up with 5. This gentleman is John Galuska Jr. And are there any Seidels still in Delmer? Anybody know? S-I-D-L-E? No? Okay. Well, anyway, it's a lovely family picture. And they bought a house in Delmer. He, as I say, had been boarding in Maquoketa, but they bought a house in Delmer, and accordingly they had a very pleasant social life, and they would welcome people to the front porch for good times, pleasantries on Sunday afternoons. Here's another picture. Now this, interestingly, and this is a little confusing to me, the bass drum says Galuska's band. Well, what happened to the Maquoketa band? So this is a little confusing here. I don't know if both bands coexisted, or sometimes a band will be called by the director's name. For example, the Fort Dodge Municipal Band was very famously led by the great Carl King, and eventually became known as the King Municipal Band instead of the Fort Dodge Municipal Band. So I don't know if that's what's happening here, but we do know, because of that medal, we do know that there must still have been a Maquoketa concert band, because the medal says Maquoketa concert band. So I suspect that both bands were going simultaneously. Let's see, there was some reason I had this here. I think that this is just a report on the pleasantries of having a home and a small family. Let's see, it seems to me that there was something around here that, well, anyway. Oh! Duh! Staring me right in the face. The new Orpheum, home of the best photoplays, Orpheum Concert Orchestra, under the leadership of J.F. Galuska. If there had been a snake, it had bit me. So, obviously, he was involved in the various theaters around Jackson County and the Quad Cities, and he directed bands, and he had students. He was a very, very busy man. Galuska Band in demand. That the merits of the, I hope you don't mind my reading out loud to you, but I think that this might be difficult for people in the back to see. And it's short anyway. That the merits of the Galuska Band are appreciated is evidenced by the fact that numerous calls for its services are received almost daily. Last Tuesday, the boys went to Bellevue to officiate at the big mass meeting, and the following day went to DeWitt to furnish the music for the fair. So they were busy. And then this is the Holton Special in 1913. So Mr. Galuska was starting to feel the composer's itch, but he never really had much time to settle down and do any composing. So this is all that we've seen from Mr. Galuska for several years, because he's busy. He's also running out of money, because the days of the traveling concert band are numbered. We are starting to see jazz bands coming in, replacing concert bands. Even Sousa is feeling the pinch, and his tours are getting a little shorter in the 1920s. And so Galuska, feeling the need for a day job, he has accepted a position at Snow White Pharmacy. You guys remember Snow White Pharmacy? Yeah. And he is now in charge of the Edison department. And he would get all these Victrolas, dump them in the back of the car, and go around the countryside trying to sell people Edison phonographs. So it's not enough that he's got music students, he's directing bands, he's directing orchestras at the local theaters, but now he's also selling Edison phonographs. Busy guy. Here in Snow White News, Snow White had its own newspaper. Volume number 1. We are getting busier every day, delivering Edison phonographs. If Mr. Galuska, our Edison salesman, should call on you, try and spare him a few minutes' time. He will be glad to explain to you Mr. Edison's invention and how it differs from the ordinary needlepoint talking machine. Piece of crap. We want the Edison machine. The Edison has a diamond point, which never requires changing. Yeah. Just ask an Edison owner what they think of it. Boy, that sounds like Packard, doesn't it? Ask the man who owns one. Yeah. All right. Now, finally, after just jumping all over Jackson and Scott counties, Galuska decides he's going to take a break. And he's going to go someplace where he won't be bothered, Kansas. And as everybody knows, Kansas is where elephants go to die. Anybody ever travel through Kansas? I did once. I thought I was going to grow old and die in Kansas. Well, Galuska decides that he is going to go to Atwood, Kansas, and just shut the door, don't bother me, I'm going to compose. But in case you have become too accustomed to our interstate travel, get a load of this. With your permission, I will read to you once again. This is an actual letter to the editor that Mr. Galuska wrote. For the benefit of my many friends who are interested in our trip across country in a Saxon roadster, I wish to say that the trip was a success, though encountering rain and mud fully 2/3 of the way. From Marshalltown, Iowa, it rained, and the roads were covered with mud all the way to Atwood, Kansas. Doesn't that sound like fun? On many places, the railroad was washed out and the roads blocked by the flood. The Saxon roadster carried us through without using a wrench. The only trouble we had is that the automatic controller, I have no idea what that is, the automatic controller went wrong before we reached Marshalltown, but it was overcome by hooking up to the battery, which carried us through to our destination. We traveled 817 miles, used 40 gallons of gasoline and 4 quarts of oil. My subscription for the Sentinel expires this month, I believe, and I want to renew it, so send me the bill for the balance of the year, and I will remit at once. Yours truly, J.F. Galuska. Nothing quite hit home as far as the passage of time as reading that and realizing how miserable it was even to just go across state. All right. So now I'm going to take a break from the slideshow and show you something pretty cool. I think it's cool. Okay, so I have here, here I thought this was pretty funny. It's just a real quick, where is it? Oh, way down here. Down here it says, Frank Keeney, one of the members of John Galuska's Fusiliers, broke 2 strings on his fiddle Sunday while trying to violin a poem by Bill Kundle. Ooh, there's a name that sounds familiar. So, but I thought that breaking 2 strings on your violin was newsworthy. So anyway, let's see now. I have here, and these will be distributed after my speech. He wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 compositions that I will play for you following the conclusion of Mr. Galuska's life. So we'll talk a little bit about the composing that he did. But almost all of these were written between 1921 and 1924. So he got a lot done while he was out in Atwood. But he got restless again, and he decided to return to Iowa and directing bands. So his next stop, he went from Atwood to Red Oak. And it says here, the Red Oak Band to broadcast a program. And he broadcasted quite often on the radio throughout the 1920s with the Red Oak Band. Let's see now, I'll read this on my screen because that's too hard to see. The Red Oak Municipal Band, of which J.F. Galuska is the director, will broadcast the program from station KFLZ, the local radio station, tomorrow Friday evening. So most of what I'm able to find for the rest of the 20s are radio broadcasts with Galuska conducting the Red Oak Municipal Band. Let's see, what are some of the things that they played? Here's a march. They started off with a march by Galuska called Brass Buttons. I did not know about brass buttons, but I'm with this organization called Windjammers, and a windjammer is a circus musician. We had our biannual convention in Baraboo, Wisconsin, Circus World. Anybody ever been there, by the way? It's a lot. Oh, it's not. You need to go. So we were up there, and they have a massive library of circus music. And so I asked them if they had anything by Galuska, and they had Brass Buttons. And I didn't even know that existed. So I'll play a little of that for you. Even though Mr. Galuska was never actually attached with a band, a circus band, he never traveled with a circus, he never played in a circus band, never directed a circus band, but a great deal of his music is very circusy. I don't know if it's his Hungarian heritage that you know, he's really good at that kind of syncopation, and it lends itself well to the circus. So a lot of his music wound up getting picked up by circuses, even though he himself was never connected with a circus. This is John and Laura Galuska in their later years. This was taken sometime in the 30s. He is obviously a... She looks about the same, don't you think? She still has dark hair, same glasses. Actually, they look... Looks like they both have the same glasses. But it's a lovely picture. So he moves to Newton, Iowa. I forget the year. Let's see. Do I have that in here? Let's see. I have here the Atwood residence. He was short-lived and quiet. No newspaper announcements of his activities for the next 3 years. 1924, they moved to Red Oak, and the reports of his success with the Red Oak Band continued through 1928. Following the Red Oak period, they settled in Newton, Iowa. You guys know that that's where the Maytag Company used to be, and that's where they remained throughout the 1930s and the 40s. He became a barber, and he directed the Newton Municipal Band for about 12 years, gave that up, and went full-time barber. Now, sadly, in his later years, he began to suffer increasingly from high blood pressure. Our tour guide in Budapest, I mentioned that to her, and she said, somebody correct me if this is wrong, but she said that that's fairly common with the Hungarian people, high blood pressure. Does anybody know if that's true? That was what she told me. But anyway, it became an increasing problem, and he finally died of a cerebral hemorrhage in 1946. He was 64 years old. Now here's the touching thing. When his obituary appeared, most of the citizens of Newton had known Galuska as the local barber, and they were surprised to learn of his career as a bandmaster and a composer, because we had reached a generation where his time as the band director, you know, they'd already forgotten about that. So he was survived by his wife Laura, 4 daughters, a son, John Galuska Jr., and 3 grandchildren. Laura moved to Burbank, California, and she died there in 1981, 100 years after the birth of her husband, a true Iowa music man. Yeah. And I want to thank, here are the people that I got all this information from. Suzanne White, his granddaughter. Online there's the Heritage Encyclopedia of Band Music. Jackson County Historical Society, special thanks to Bonnie. She helped a lot with the pictures. And she also told me about newspapers.com. I didn't know about that, and that was absolutely invaluable. That's part of Ancestry now. Jasper County Genealogical Society of Newton, many thanks to Diana Wagner, and then of course the Des Moines Register article that I was reading from. Okay, and then somebody sent me a picture of his headstone. All right, so now would you guys like to listen to some of his music?
Where's the headstone?
That's in Newton. Okay, so let's get out of here. Okay. So I already played for you his, now here's the Atwood March. And by the way, don't worry, I'm not going to play the entire piece of music. We'll just have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. This was dedicated to the Atwood Military Band. It was probably a boys' band. So that's the Atwood March. Let's see now. Here's Brass Buttons. I promised you that we'd hear that. Let's see what, now this was in the Merle Evans collection. Merle Evans was the director of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Band for 50 years. Let's see why Merle liked it. So that was computer generated. All the recordings that I'm playing for you that were played by a band, those are the Timber City Band right here in Maquoketa. Here is, oh you already, oh, I love this one. This one's called Lazy Luke. This is a party song. The band, this is the Timber City Band, and you can tell they're having fun with this one. Our trombones really laid into it.
that's.
Bringing home a baby bumblebee. What's that? Bum, 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 bum. What is that? Nobody knows? Really? Way down yonder in the pawpaw patch. Particular strain gave the Timber City Band a lot of trouble because there are certain rhythms and turns of a phrase that you expect. This doesn't do any of them. And people kept going, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. That took an unexpected turn. So it was pretty fun for the band that we kept getting fooled. So I went ahead and played the whole thing because that's my favorite one. And I'm the presenter and I get to do what I want. And you probably heard our drummer having a little fun back there. Now, we came across something that was very frustrating. A number of years ago, well here, let me show you this. Here is a march called Leviathan. And respectfully dedicated to my friend George W. Landers, Iowa's veteran bandmaster. Those of you who follow Iowa bands, does the name George Landers mean anything to you? How about if I say Major Landers? Well, Major Landers was the father of the Iowa band law, which is famous worldwide because it enables municipalities to charge a tax to support the local municipal band. And Major Landers was also one of the founders of the Iowa Bandmasters Association. So Galuska admired him tremendously and wrote this march, Leviathan, and I think that it's probably a reference to the fact that he considered Major Landers a giant in the field. Would you agree? Now, here's the thing. This was published in 1923. Now, I came across, while doing some research, I was looking at an old issue of Jacob's Band Monthly from 1919, and I came across this ad. 6 marches every band should have. Here's a march for world democracy. You need to buy that one. Comrades Return. All these other marches for sale. You want to buy this one. Clorinda March by J.F. Galuska. What? I never heard of Clorinda March. A rouser and no mistake. Parts for regimental trumpets and drums. And it's not, most of his stuff is published by Barnhouse in Oskaloosa. Barry Dalby went out of business in 1920. Where the heck am I going to find that? Kansas City Mo. Dalby, by the way, was a famous Iowa band director and composer.
So, folks, I am not exaggerating. I have spent close to 15 years looking for the Clorinda March. Well, Jay, how hard can it be? Just contact everybody in the Clorinda area. I did. None of them have it. If it's in the title, if your name is in the title, why would you throw it away? But they did. So nobody in the Clorinda or Corning area had Clorinda March. So I contacted the University of Iowa. Nope. Iowa State. Nope. University of Northern Iowa. Nope. Okay, let's go bigger. How about some of the big bands in Chicago? Naperville Band. Nope. Wheaton Band. Nope. All right, let's quit messing around. Let's go with a big national one. How about the United States Marine Band, one of the largest band libraries in the world? Nope. All right, we're not messing around anymore. Library of Congress? Nope. This thing's a ghost. And so I figure every single set of parts that ever existed must have left the face of the earth a long time ago, must have met an untimely end at the bottom of a dumpster. And I am the Iowa Regional Representative for the Association of Concert Bands. And that organization exists to support and promote adult community bands. So one of the things that I'm charged with doing is to keep a database, or a spreadsheet if you will, of every municipal band and community band in the state of Iowa. There are about 120, by the way. God bless Iowa. And I publish every year in the Iowa Bandmaster this database, and I ask people, if you see mistakes, please let me know, because it's not easy for me to update this. My resources are limited. Well, the personnel manager for the Newton Municipal Band contacted me, said that my information was incorrect. Well, thank you for contacting me. I'm grateful for your input. Newton, huh? That's the last place Galuska was a director. Do you have anything by J.F. Galuska in your municipal band library? We'll look. Came back a day later. Sorry, Mr. Kahn, we only have two things. His Harmoniana Overture and Clorinda March. What? What? Send it over! They had beautiful parts. Beautiful parts. And so they sent them all over, and there it is! Oh my God! Now I knew that Major Landers was in Clorinda. That's where his famous Iowa State National Guard Band was, that had become so famous. So I had begun to suspect that the Leviathan March and the Clorinda March were one and the same, that maybe when Barry Dalby went out of business, that he republished it as Leviathan. And so I asked Andy Glover, who's the president of the Barnhouse Company and a real expert on Iowa band history, I said, do you think that's true? He said, Jay, unless you get a hold of a copy of the Clorinda March, there's no way to tell. I thought, but to write two marches within 3 years of each other and both dedicated to Landers? Well, turns out that's exactly what he did. He must have really liked Major Landers. But this one says, as played by the George Landers Clorinda, Iowa Band. So this is the one that he wrote first. Down at the bottom, it actually does say 1919. And then he wrote Leviathan second. So let's hear Clorinda. By the way, this is not the band. We're going to be playing it this Sunday. This is computer generated. something about all of Galuska's marches? They're snappy. And drums. You know, I was thinking that dun 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 dun. That sounds so familiar. Dun dun dun. Here we go, Looby Loo. Here we go, Loo. I don't think that's what he had in mind, but that's what it reminds me of. Well, let's see what Leviathan is like. You will find that Leviathan starts at, well, that's kind of hard on your eyes. I don't know if you want to look at that. Leviathan, written 3 years later, also to Major Landers, starts off almost identically, but then it changes. You hear how they are very appealing to the circus bandmaster. Sound very circusy, very happy, very peppy. So I think it's very appealing. The music does not deserve to be hidden away in a drawer. We have established in the Iowa Bandmasters Association, there's a Hall of Fame for outstanding bandmasters who have served the Iowa Bandmasters Association. But what about all the Iowa band directors that existed before the Iowa Bandmasters Association, which started in 1927 and is celebrating its 100th anniversary next year? And that certainly would include Galuska. So we've established a Hall of Fame annex for bandmasters whose salad days, so to speak, were before the Iowa Bandmasters, and I'm happy to tell you that as of last May, that Galuska has been inducted into that Hall of Fame annex. Okay, so I have here copies of basically what I just told you. So if you're interested in keeping a copy, just pass one around, and that is the story of one of Maquoketa's very first bandmasters. Thank you all for your attention. Everybody have a chance to see the medals? All right.
Kahn, thank you so very much. That was really fun, and I'm glad he played Lazy Loop, because if he hadn't, I was going to request it. So I just have to tell you one quick story before we go. I love band music and marching music in particular. So some of you knew my husband, Marine. He was Charles Henry Mitchell III. His grandfather, Charles Henry Mitchell I, and everybody has one of these in their family, but this one is, we've proven it is true. As a young man, he ran away with the circus. And he ended up playing in the circus band. And then he ended up traveling and playing with John Philip Sousa. And we have some awesome portraits of him, each with a different instrument that he played in this various band. And so that was really special. And then 2 years ago, I believe, my granddaughter graduated from high school, and she won a scholarship, the John Philip Sousa Scholarship, so she could go to college and play the bassoon, like Eric. So anyway, love that music. So thank you so very much. So appreciate you coming and doing that.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for asking. Oh, yeah.
Going to be rescheduled.
Now, the Timber City Band, your Timber City Band, you may recall that it used to be the Austin Avenue Band. And then in 1986, the Shears decided that they couldn't handle it anymore, and they said, either somebody take it over or it's going to die. I didn't want that to happen, so I took it over. We started rehearsing over at the middle school. We couldn't call it the Austin Avenue Band anymore. My very first year here, within a month of taking the job here at Maquoketa Junior High at the time, a gentleman over in Clinton passed away. He owned a music store, not Bender's, it was a different music store. And I feel silly with this. And so he had an auction. And I went over to see what I could find, and there was this really cool silver cornet. And I opened it up, and inside was a picture of a gentleman who must have been the original owner of the cornet. And he's dressed in a band uniform, and he's holding that very cornet. And on the back of it, it said, Will Kundal Photography Studios, Maquoketa, Iowa. And this is over in Clinton. So I thought, I gotta have this cornet. So I bought it for 20 bucks, and then spent $300 having it overhauled. But anyway, I showed it. Do you guys remember Bill Hayes?
Yes.
Yeah, so I showed Bill Hayes the picture, and I expected it to say Maquoketa Concert Band, but it didn't. It said TCB. And I showed it to Bill, and I said, what do you suppose it stands for? He said, well, it stands for Timber City Band, you idiot. What else could it stand for? So when we moved over to the middle school, then the Austin Avenue Band became a rebirth of the Timber City Band. Now, we are in our 52nd season. We can't say our 52nd year because we lost a year to COVID. So we're saying it's the 52nd season since Ed Shear first gave Judy a clarinet and she wanted to start a band. It is a regional band. We have people coming up from the Quad Cities. We have people coming down from Dubuque, over from Bellevue, Anamosa. It's an outstanding band. And the reason it's an outstanding band is because I cheated. And I only asked the very best people. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the most virtuoso instrumentalists. It means people with the right sense of humor. And if you don't fit in, you don't get asked back. Now, we were supposed to be the very first concert band to play in Glovik, but it's too dang hot. So they canceled it. Not postponed, sadly, canceled. However, we are going to play our annual concert at the Tabor Winery this Sunday. Do you guys have like 3 more minutes?
Yes.
I got to tell you this. So Kent Crawford, who was the high school band director, you know Kent. Everybody knows Kent. So Kent Crawford calls me up one day. He said, hey, I got a phone call from Martha Tabor. She wants a marching band for the July 4th concert. I am not doing marching band. You talk to her. So, okay. So I call her up and I said, I understand you want a band for your 4th of July. Yes, we have music every Sunday. Something that we do in the summertime. Have you been out here? No, I haven't. Well, we have music in the barn every Sunday, and this year we'd like to do something special and actually have a marching band. Do you mean a marching band or a band that plays marches? Yeah, that's it. That's a big difference. Okay, so we've been doing that now, and our pay, well, they make a donation to the Timber City Band, but also everybody in the band gets a free bottle of wine. So we're pretty cool with that. We're going to have 2 concerts. It's always the Sunday closest to July 4th. So, and also I looked up the weather. It's going to be in the low 80s. They're predicting some thunderstorms later in the afternoon, but we'll be done by then. So you come out there. If you haven't been out there, you owe it to yourself. It's gorgeous. It's really, really, really pretty. So come on out there. It's just like being in Europe. And they have a big awning, tented area for the audience. And there's a huge porch for the band. And you can hear just fine. So we're going to have 2 concerts, one at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Did I mention it was at 2 o'clock? One at 2 o'clock. We play for about an hour. And then the next concert is at 3:30. And they have wine tasting. You can taste any kind of wine that they make out there. And if you don't like band music but you like wine, come on out. If you like band music but you don't like wine, come on out. But it's absolutely free. You don't have to promise to buy anything. There's no charge for parking. Come on out. Should be a good time. We'll see you out there. Okay? All right.